Guy's YouTube channel is Save It for Parts. He's got an old Commodore terminal. It's different than the Commodore game cartridge or the Commodore 64. This got a terminal. You can see it, but let me. This is an aftermarket. It's made like the chips, but it's a bare PC board, but it's got some cool graphics. But let me show you this. I've got a K Pro that I'll get to that in a minute.
And then you can do additional art with holes like this in the eye of the frog. I think this is really cool. This is a really neat way to leverage printed circuit board technology and make it not just functional, but also pretty. All right, we've got Frogger in the cartridge port, and apparently when there's a cartridge plugged in here, this ROM bypasses the internal system ROM, so it shouldn't load BASIC. It should just go straight to the game. And yeah, there it is.
I'm sure a few people here have played Frogger, especially the older. But remember those? I've got a K Pro. I got it at auction for about $10, probably about 30 years ago. I don't have any software for it. I turned it on. It appeared to work, but like I said, I didn't have any software with it. It's made very similar to that. But like I said, it's a piece of antique technology. If somebody really offered me a tremendous amount of money for it, I'd probably sell it. I need to dig it out and make sure it still worked. Like I said, I haven't plugged it in probably in 30 or 40 years. But anyway, I've got a small portable reel-to-reel tape player. It takes like about 8 or 10 D cells in there. It was missing one amplifier board. I need to figure out which one. I need to dig that thing out and figure out what board I need, and then figure a circuit for it and rig something in there so I can make that thing work. But nobody uses reel-to-reel tape anymore. If somebody wanted to offer me a small fortune for that, I'd go for it, even though that was missing. I was missing a board. The main thing I want to talk about is wasn't it like the old Atari 2600? That used the game cartridges. Now it's an antique system today, but in its day, I was a young adult when they first come out, and I certainly played quite a bit on the Atari 2600. It's just a game console. I've got a couple here and some cartridges. I need to dig them out, but I need to hook them up and see if they still work. So I think I found one tossed in the trash, and I found a bunch of cartridges. And I said, well, that's worth something. I'm just going to grab them. And I had a Coleco Atom. Now, the Coleco come in two different flavors. There was just a basic Coleco game. It had just a cartridge that you plug in there, similar to the Atari 2600, but it was a little bit different cartridge. They had some really cool games. But the Coleco Atom was a full-blown computer. It would run BASIC. The original ones used a tape. It was like a modified cassette tape, and you could add a floppy disk. First, they started with a 5 1/4, then you could get a 3.5 or whatever it was drive you could put on there, and it loaded a lot faster. But with it came out of the box. Well, they originally intended to sell for about $700 or $800. This is about 83, 84, something like that. So I'd be equivalent about $4,000 or $5,000 a day. But I got mine for about $300. It was a full-blown computer with a printer. Now, the power supply was built into the printer, which is kind of odd for the time, but it did work. It was a decent system. And I think the sound went through the TV. So, but I said it was a full-blown, it would run BASIC, and it would run CP/M. You could buy separately. CP/M works like DOS. And if you haven't heard the story, the guy that wrote CP/M, it's a control program for microcomputers. But the guy would not sell, IBM, went to the guy that wrote CP/M and said, hey, we'd like to license out your system. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. So IBM went to Bill Gates and said, hey, we need something that works like this. So he wrote DOS. Then he went ahead and wrote Windows and stuff. But if the guy had sold CP/M to IBM, you'd probably never have heard of Bill Gates right now. But anyway, that's a piece of ancient history. But just ask the people out there, do you have a Tritech 2600? Do you have a Coleco Atom and enjoyed it back? I'm talking about back in the 80s and 90s because I doubt there's very many of them still running. I've got a bunch of Coleco Atom, 5.5 or 5 1/4 floppies, but I don't have anything to run them on. You'd probably find some on eBay, but they'd probably run a fortune for it. Okay, bye-bye.